Hello, everyone. This is your professor once again, Danny Araneta Cabulay, for the course Business Research for the program Master in Business Administration. So, for the second lecture, we will talk about how to formulate the research problem. Earlier on, I lectured about the different types of research and what is the process. Now, let's talk about SOP, Statement of the Problem. Well, for this particular video lecture, I will be talking about parts of a thesis, which is the kind of research that you will be submitting to complete your MBA program, and the statement of the problem, a very important section under Chapter 1. Then we'll talk about the attributes of a good SOP, and I'll give you two examples of SOPs, how they are formulated. And finally, we'll look at the different common challenges in formulating the SOP. Now, what are the main parts of a thesis? Unlike in the past, the American Psychological Association, or APA, formulated a format that would have about 5 chapters. Now they combine Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 to make it just Chapter 1. So, Chapter 1 in the new format of APA is the problem and integrated review of literature. So, we will be talking in detail about that in the next few weeks. Then, Chapter 2 is all about methodology. Well, this chapter used to be called Research Methodology, so they dropped the word research. It's just simply called methodology. And Chapter 3 used to be called Research Findings. Now it has been renamed as Results and Discussion. And finally, Chapter 4 used to be called Conclusions and Recommendations, but now it is called Summary of Findings, Conclusions, and Recommendations. Now, when we talk about SOP, or Statement of the Problem, this is a very important part of Chapter 1. In fact, it is usually linked to the research title or your thesis title. The research problem is the heart of any thesis or dissertation. It is always linked to the title of your research. It is always worded in the interrogative or question form. There is a main research problem, and there would be one or several subsidiary or secondary problems, or what you call sub-problems. Towards the end of the research paper, these are the items that you need or you must address, okay, when you discuss your conclusions and recommendations. Dapat nasasagot niya ang iyong mga research problems. Otherwise, your research is not bullseye. Now, how do we know if our SOP, or Statement of the Problem, as one entire section is good? Well, there are basically 5 attributes. Number 1, your SOP should be relevant and timely. So, relevant for the times and relevant for the current period. So, that means it is something that would be responding to the needs of society or industry in the present period. Second attribute is clarity of direction. Kailangan maliwanag saan ba papunta ang iyong nire-research. So it should be clearly worded. So you look at the way you compose your questions, because SOPs are basically a series of questions, research questions. Then, number 3, differentiation and innovation. Surely, you're trying to address a research gap. What has not been done yet? Because if you're researching on something that has been done a long time ago or many times over, then your research becomes redundant. Super gasgas na yung iyong topic, and more or less, the problems that you're stating in the interrogative have been asked before. So you're just replicating or repeating them. So there's nothing new that you can offer. That's not a good SOP. So try to be different, try to make it special, try to make it pioneering, or try to make it um, something very, very specific. And number four, feasibility. Well, not all topics are researchable. Not all information are accessible. So that means if your research is not researchable and the data that you want to gather to be able to address the SOPs are not accessible to you, let's say they're super confidential, they're super classified information, it's not feasible to conduct them. Your SOPs cannot be answered or may be very, very difficult to answer. So feasibility is another attribute of a good SOP. Is it feasible to answer them at this present time? Maybe not. Or maybe it will take you a long, long period of time before you're able to gather information so you can answer those SOPs. Finally, coherence. If you have one main problem and maybe two to three sub-problems, all these interrogative statements or questions should be connected to one another. That is what you call coherence. Sometimes it's called cohesiveness. Okay? Are they related to one another? Kailangan magkakamag-anak yung mga questions na itatanong mo sa iyong SOP. Now, let's look at one example. As you're aware, I'm currently in El Nido, Palawan. I flew in yesterday afternoon. So I arrived here after 5 hours of a land trip from Puerto Princesa, the port of entry, on to El Nido. That's 5 hours by land. So we arrived here around 7 p.m. So medyo just enough time to rest and the right time to have a sumptuous dinner. So I rested the whole night kagabi because it was been a long trip from the airport to El Nido. So why am I here? I have a client here. Well, my client is actually famous actor John Arcilia, the Volpe Best Actor Cup winner in the Venice International Film Festival. And he's more famous for his role in the classic and now very popular movie iconic role, General Luna. Okay, he is my client and he owns a very cute, quaint resort here. The name of the resort is Casa General. They opened before the pandemic, but they closed because of the pandemic. Now, he asked me to help him improve it and strategize. So, I'm supposed to produce a business plan. A business plan is a type of business research. So, here's the example I'm going to give you. Ito yung gagawin ko para kay Mr. John Arcilia, para sa Casa General. The title of the research is Competitive Analysis of Bed and Breakfast Properties in El Nido, Palawan. Kasi yung resort na pag-aari niya dito, it's not a triple-A resort. That's the equivalent of 5-star hotel. It's not even a double A or a single A. It's unrated currently by DOT. But it's a bed and breakfast. You know, the bed and breakfast concept started in the UK. It's supposed to be an accommodation for tourists for a low price, but very homey atmosphere and very personalized amenities. So, ibig sabihin, maliit lang siya na property, pero lutong bahay, masarap ang pagkain, maasikaso ang mga nagsiserve sa iyo. Okay? So, that's the concept of a bed and breakfast. For you to sleep and have good breakfast, the rest of the day, you're sightseeing and you're touring around. Okay? Then you just come back to the bed and breakfast property to sleep at night. Ganun lang siya ka-basic. Okay? So, nothing of the 5-star frills. No pretensions. So, here are the SOPs that I was able to formulate. The main problem really is who are the leaders, challengers, and laggards among the bed and breakfast properties in the accommodation sector in El Nido, Palawan. Kasi marami silang mga resorts dito. More than 100, I believe. So I'm sure, siguro may mga 10 dyan na bed and breakfast type. And Casa General is one of them. So sa kanilang 10, sino ang leader? Sino ang number 1? Number 2? Sino ang mga sumusunod na, yung mga challengers? The threat to the leaders. And finally, sino yung kulelat? The laggards. Where is Casa General? Well, they have not yet operated, but where are they going to position themselves? Are they going to be positioning themselves to become the future leaders or challengers? Well, wag naman sanang laggards. The second problem, which is the sub-problem now, what are the key success factors of the leading bed and breakfast properties in El Nido, Palawan? What does it take to be the leading B&B property in this municipality, tourist-oriented municipality? Number three, what are the challenges in the B&B subsector of El Nido, Palawan? Siyempre, may mga problema sila. So, I'm trying to dig deeper now. Okay? What is the current situation of the B&B sector, subsector in El Nido, Palawan? What is the current situation? Ano yung dynamics? How do they make it work? What kind of markets are they targeting? Then finally, what are the prospects of B&B properties in Palawan? If somebody wants to put up a new property here with a B&B concept, ano ang prospects niya? Will he succeed or not? Yeah, so all these questions are basically part of the section called statement of the problem. Okay? So you have one main problem and four sub-problems. So El Nido is a beautiful place. I've been here several times in the past. So you will notice in the picture that this is the room that I'm occupying. This is supposed to be the suite. Mura lang yung kanilang mga kwarto dito, something like 2,005. But you have to avail of the package. I think the package is 12,500. That's the cheapest. That includes 4 days and 3 nights stay, inclusive of daily breakfast, including 2 days of touring around. Mahalang tour dito, mga 3,000 something. Kasama na yung 2 days doon. Then sagot na rin nila ang lunch in the islands where you going to tour. So basically, gagastosin mo na lang talaga airfare at saka dinner. Well, if you have dinner here, mura lang yung dinner dito at napakasarap. Okay? Well, that's plugging for you. So obviously, yung personality at yung artistic taste ni John Arcilla was incorporated in this property. Now, here's another one that I did many years ago when I was taking my master's degree in special education at the Philippine Normal University. The title of the research is Development of a Therapeutic Diet and Menu Plan for Children with Intellectual Disabilities. Because the number of children with disabilities, mental disabilities, or intellectual disabilities is growing in the Philippines at a fast rate. Dati, less than 1% lang ang meron. Ngayon, umaabot na yata ng more than 4% ang mga bata na autistic, may cerebral palsy, delayed development, or maybe ADHD or ADD, and many, many others. There are 42 types of intellectual disorders. Okay? So, how do we prevent this? Ano ba yung dapat pinapakain sa mga bata para sila ay hindi ma-trigger yung kanilang intellectual disorder or hindi lumala? Okay? So, how do you manage kids with that kind of special needs? Or if you're a pregnant woman, how can you prevent from having a child with intellectual disabilities? Because sometimes what the mother eats, and he's feeding somebody in the womb already. So kung hindi maganda yung kinakain ng nanay, it's possible na yung batang nasa sinapupunan niya ay lalabas na merong intellectual disability. Okay? Or maybe normal na pinanganak yung bata, first 2 years, dahil nung second year, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old yung bata, yung tinatawag natin na formative years, kung ano-anong junk food ang pinapakain ng nanay, soft drinks, chichirya, etc. So, walang sustansya. Pagdating sa eskwela ng bata, nag-aaral na siya ng 5 years old, kindergarten, or grade 1 at 6 or 7 years old, slow learner na siya. Pero nung bata siya, nung toddler siya, bibo siya. What happened? Ano ang pinakain ng nanay? So, yun ang aking naging topic sa aking thesis. This is an actual thesis, okay? The first problem is, what type of diet and menu plan are suitable for children with intellectual disabilities? Ni-research ko yan. Okay, that's the main problem. But there is only one sub-problem. Only one. What type of diet and menu plan is suitable in preventing incidents of intellectual disabilities among children? Because I believe that the intellectual disabilities can be prevented, can be minimized. So that's now the corollary problem. The main problem is for those who already have it. And the second problem, the sub-problem is how do you prevent it? Okay? So see, napakasimple, dalawa lang ang SOP ko. Okay? Dito sa aking thesis for master's degree. Actually, that's my second master's degree. Okay? Now, what are the common challenges of researchers when they formulate their SOP? Naku, madami yan. Number one, kung minsan wala sila sa focus. Kung ano-ano lang yung mga questions na nilalagay nila, simple enumeration, pero walang ka-focus-focus. Kung minsan out of topic na. Pangalawa, lack of mastery and research on the topic. Before you formulate your SOPs, you need to research para medyo mukhang comprehensive naman ang iyong SOP. So parang lahat ng aspeto regarding that specific topic na tackle mo. Comprehensive siya. Pero wag na wag kang lalabas sa topic. It's very tempting to get out of the topic. Number three, lack of depth and scientific approach, no? Kasi kung minsan, importante or scholarly approach, kasi kung minsan, masyadong mababaw yung mga tanong. Of course, you can ask basic questions, but towards the end of the SOP, you need to dig deeper. Make it a little bit more scholarly, okay? Now, another problem, the information you need is not available, not accessible. It's very classified. It's tough to access. So that's not a very good topic and not a very good SOP. Okay? Next, redundancy. Naku, itong topic na napili mo at itong SOP mo, may gumawa na niyan. Paulit-ulit na lang. So gas-gas na masyado yung ganyan mga questions. So try to think of something else. Make it a little bit more exciting or something new, okay? Therefore, lack of originality is related to this weakness or challenge, no? Try to be original, try to be pioneering, try to be innovative. Finally, masama ang isang SOP pag badly written. Masama ang grammar at saka yung writing style hindi maganda. So, magandang ipapa-edit din natin or we ask opinion of other people who are very good in grammar and composition. Okay? So, these are the challenges in formulating the SOP. So, for your research task number 2, okay, kasi yung research task number 1 nyo was basically to do the choosing of the title and the topic, right? Now, research task number 2, I'm correcting it, research task number 2, I will consult with each of you and approve your research task number 1. Remember, nag-submit na kayo, right? Deadline was yesterday. So, I'm gonna check all of that and give you feedback in the next 3 to 4 days until Wednesday. So wait for my call or my PM. I will PM you through Messenger and give you my feedback. If your topic and title is already approved, then you can proceed in task number 2. Task number 2, you will write the entire full section of SOP. Write the main problem and enumerate the sub-problem. So this is a simple enumeration. So just mention the main problem and then what are the sub-problems. Deadline for submission is June 25. That is Friday through my FB Messenger account. So if you are my friend already, well and good. But if you're not yet my friend, add me in FB and Messenger and please indicate that you are my MBA student so I know that you're not a stalker or a troll. So finally, I will part ways with you by introducing another goodbye word. So I speak German. I read and understand German. That's one of the 11 languages that I know and am familiar with. I haven't been practicing though. But to say goodbye in Germany, they say Tschüss, 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 Tschüss. And the quotation I will leave with you is from the great actor, martial arts expert, Bruce Lee. Sabi niya, a teacher is never a giver of truth. He is simply a guide, a pointer to the truth that each student must find for himself. So a teacher is an enabler. So you would find your way to discovering and finding out the truth yourself. Goodbye. Tschüss.